Hello and welcome to LSJ Today. Here are today's headlines. Lincoln's MP says he's done nothing wrong after his party is fined over its election expenses.
The War Memorial left trashed after thieves steal thousands of pounds worth of machinery.
And if you've got any of those paper fivers hanging around, you best spend them now. They'll soon be out of date.
All that and more coming up on today's programme.
Good afternoon, I'm Samuel Gilbert.
And I'm Christina Curtis. Our top story today.
Lincoln MP Carl McCartney says he has done nothing wrong after his Conservative Party was given a record fine for breaking election expense rules. The Electoral Commission fined the Tories £70,000 after investigating a series of allegations during the last general election. Elliot Dalton is here now with more on the story. So Elliot, what has Carl McCartney had to say?
Well, Sam, Carl released a statement on his website earlier today, and he says that he's done nothing wrong, but he also stresses that he'd prefer not to comment while police investigations are ongoing. And despite that, however, he still hits out at the Electoral Commission, saying they should be politically neutral, and in his opinion, they obviously haven't been. He also accuses them of being partisan and inconsistent in their actions and announcements.
So, how did all of this come about?
Well, it all started back in the 2015 general election when the Conservatives used a battle bus to try and win votes in key seats and marginal constituencies. Each party is allowed to spend around £15,000 in each constituency. That's their expense allowance. But where the confusion lies is that the Conservatives allocated that allowance as national spending, which will obviously be a lot bigger pot than just one constituency, when that should have been logged under the £15,000 allowance for each specific constituency. Channel 4 investigated and launched an investigation in January 2016 called Election Exposed. And yesterday, 12 police forces, including Lincolnshire, have reported and handed files to the Crown Prosecution Service for them to consider charges. And then today, the Electoral Commission announced and released that report with all their findings in.
And what does that report say?
Well, the report said, to start with, that there were numerous and significant failures made by the Conservative Party in their administrative procedures, and it found that £104,000 was missing in total, and £118,000 was either not reported or reported incorrectly. This was for the 2015 general election and 3 by-elections during 2014. It also found that invoices and receipts worth up to £52,000 of payments were missing as well. It's important to stress that criminal proceedings haven't actually been brought yet. The files have just been handed to the CPS for them to consider. But in the meantime, the Conservative Party have been hit with that hefty fine of £70,000 by the Electoral Commission.
Thanks for that, Elliot. Now, in response to the story, I spoke to Barry Turner earlier, who is an expert in election law. So, Barry, what is it that the Conservative Party have actually done wrong then?
The Conservative Party have breached 2 pieces of legislation designed to cover fairness within election processes. In particular, the Representation of the People's Act 1983 and the Political Parties Elections and Referendum Act 2000.
Okay, and what are the actual laws in place then in terms of how a party can use election expenses?
Well, they're very long-winded, and the 2 acts I just mentioned cover the aspects of them. The fundamental philosophy behind it is to make the elections fair, so we don't have one party having an advantage simply because it's got more money or can field more resources than the other one. And in its worst manifestation, it's a form of corruption. There's no indication that that's being charged at the moment. Certainly in its worst manifestation, it can be that.
So those laws in place currently, I presume it's sort of a grey area still, it's not clear cut?
No, not at all. It is fairly clear cut. It's complicated. Both pieces of legislation are very extensive in their coverage, but when you actually analyse the particular sections of the acts, they are quite clear.
So, just how serious could this be then if the allegations are proved to be true? So, what could be some possible repercussions for the Conservative Party?
Well, the allegations as far as the Electoral Commission are concerned are true, in that there was incorrect submission of financial statements and incorrect submission of expenditure, which is why the Conservative Party have already been fined £70,000 in the form of a civil penalty.
Barry Turner, thanks for talking to us.
It's a memorial to tens of thousands of men who died flying some of World War II's most dangerous missions, but it's been left trashed by vandals. Fundraisers at the Bomber Command Memorial near Lincoln say they've been left heartbroken after thieves broke in and stole power generators and memorial wreaths. Our reporter Becky Lancashire has more.
It's a memorial to remember over 55,000 men who lost their lives during the bombing campaigns of World War II. The site is still under construction and not yet open to the public, but now fundraisers say that they've been plagued by vandals. In this latest attack, wreaths left by families were torn from the fences and over £2,000 worth of damage has been caused. In a statement, Lincolnshire Police said officers were called to the site when staff found there had been a burglary over the weekend. Items stolen included a wreath, fence panels and generators. It is believed the value of property stolen is over £2,000. Many people have taken to social media to share their anger at the break-in. One said, "Absolute scumbags who have no respect for anyone and would certainly never have the guts to fight for their country." Another described the break-in as shameful, and one asked the question many people now want an answer to: why? Anyone with any information in relation to the crime is asked to contact 101, quoting incident 82 of March 13th. Becky Lancashire, LSJ Today, Lincoln.
We've now got Becky in the studio for us to give us the latest on the Bomber Command break-in. So Becky, can you tell us what's happened?
Thanks, Christina. Well, I've spoken to Lincolnshire Police just this afternoon and they've said they haven't yet found a lead and are still continuing to investigate the circumstances which took place over the weekend. Police were there on Monday morning and straight away started taking evidence in bags that could help them with the investigation.
And what have the centre had to say about the news?
Well, I spoke to Nikki Barr, who is the director of the International Bomber Command Centre, today. She said it's cost them time and money and means the team will have to focus on replacing everything in time for their open day on Sunday, taking their time away from what needs to be done. I know she was particularly concerned for the welfare of the veterans who will be up at the centre on Sunday, given that the generators which power both the lighting and the heating have been stolen.
And it really has caused a lot of concern in the local community, hasn't it?
Yes, of course. Well, Bomber Command is something that really is at the heart of the city and at the heart of the county as well. It was, after all, once nicknamed Bomber County because of its 27 RAF bases. There are many families in the area who've been affected by the war, and they feel that this act is completely disrespectful to the history of those families and what they did for this country.
Thank you, Becky. Now, thousands of people in Lincoln don't have enough money to live on and are struggling to pay their bills. 0 hours contracts are to blame for the lack of income, claims the leader of the City Council, Rick Metcalf. Speaking at the 4th Lincoln Against Poverty conference, he said that more help is needed.
The extent to which, if you're applying the really stiff test, have we reduced poverty in the last 4 years? I'm not sure we have necessarily, although I think we've got much better at mitigating some of its worst effects. But what matters most to me and to the City Council is that we do try and tackle those root causes, and for me that is mostly about growing the economy, but doing that in a way that benefits the people who need it most.
That was Rick Metcalf from Lincoln City Council.
Still to come on the programme, one of Lincoln's oldest shops is to close after 163 years.
It's sad when a company like this, which has been here for a long, long time, closes.
And dig out those paper fivers, they'll soon be out of date. And check down the back of the sofa, It's estimated there's a £53 million in coins hiding there.
But first, some more news from around the region. A Lincoln schoolboy has wrote and recorded a music video for a song that helps him cope with bullying. Harry Hatcher's video, Backstop, which he recorded with friends, has racked up over 1,600 views since it was posted on YouTube. In response to his video, many people have shared their experiences with Harry over the social media platform.
The number of cases of identity theft within the UK has risen as over 170,000 frauds were recorded last year, with 25,000 victims being under 30 years old. Credit fraud experts have warned people to change their password every 6 months to prevent fraud. Updating software frequently and not using public computers or Wi-Fi to access account information could also prevent the identification theft.
Are you stocked up with toilet rolls, dishcloths and rubber gloves? They could be what you need to survive a nuclear war. Pamphlets from 1980 showing homeowners how to prepare for an attack are being reprinted. They warn people to stock up on water, first aid kits and jam, and are part of an exhibition at the Imperial War Museum. It's one of Lincoln's oldest shops and has been on the high street for more than a century, but Ruddock's is set to close. The family-run business has blamed a weak pound after Brexit, as well as a lack of parking in the city for the decision to shut. I went along to find out more. The much-loved Ruddock's of Lincoln is set to close on the 15th of April. The popular business was established in 1872 and has been a staple of Lincoln's High Street for over 160 years, selling a range of items such as stationery, toys and gifts. The family-owned shop is closing due to a lack of profit, and 19 members of staff will be made redundant. I spoke to some members of the public to hear their opinion on the closure.
I think it's very sad. We've just been into Henry's for some lunch today, which is always very busy and very popular. The staff are obviously very upset about what's going to be happening in the next month or so. So yes, I think it's sad when a company like this, which has been here for a long, long time, closes.
The shop's been here for 160 odd years, so I'm very shocked actually about it all.
Occasionally I will come in and buy my newspaper, but I don't use it. I wander around, I look at it, I think it's everything's nicely displayed, but to be honest, I very rarely buy anything from it. So I suppose I'm part of its demise.
It was hoped that Henry's Tea Room, which is situated above Ruddock's, would be able to remain open. However, they have now announced that they are closing down too, due to a shared access with the shop. These most recent closures come after a series of shops have shut down on Lincoln's High Street.
Businesses in one of Lincoln's poshest streets say that they've been plagued with vandalism and crime, all because of dodgy CCTV. Shopkeepers on the Bailgate want more police and better cameras after a series of thefts over recent months. Janine Harding has this report.
We had a call out early in the morning. I think it was the incident happened at about 3:15 in the morning, and then we came to work and saw both our windows were smashed.
The Bailgate's cobbled streets are lined with independent boutiques, shops and places to eat. Its quaint yet vibrant atmosphere makes it a highly popular tourist destination. But despite its popularity, there are very few security cameras around the area, giving thieves and vandals plenty of opportunity.
It would be better, the camera system, if it was improved, also the lighting up here, the street lights, if they were improved. I know it's a lot of older buildings, but you know, a lot of the businesses are trying to support the council if, you know, wherever possible. You know, it's a big tourism area, and without tourism up here, where would Lincoln be?
Since the incident, FP Watson has had to stop putting products on display in order to deter from criminal damage. The City of Lincoln Council has released a statement saying CCTV in the Bailgate is due to be upgraded over the next few months. They also added that in the last 12 months, they've dealt with more than 14,000 incidents and supported the police in many arrests and convictions. Due to the current situation in the area, business owners will be working closely together to share information and look out for each other's businesses. Janine Harding, LSJ Today.
And we have our reporter Janine now live with us in the studio. So Janine, what do shop owners expect the council to do to help?
Well, a few shops, including Sanctuary and the Bell, have said that there needs to be more security cameras in the area because most of them feel as though they are left to fend for themselves. And in the event of an incident like what happened to FP Watson recently, they also want street lights to be improved as well. And even some residents have complained that some aren't actually working within the area, which may be giving a small window of opportunity for thieves and vandals as well. And we know that the Belgate is not normally an area where you'd expect a lot of crime to happen, so this recent break-in has worried a lot of businesses, and this is where the demand for the council to do more to help protect them is coming from. Thanks, Janine. In September last year, a new £5 note was introduced. The paper £5 note was replaced with a plastic note, and now there's not a lot of time left to spend your old ones. Lauren Mulcahy has more on this story.
You now have less than 2 months left to spend your old paper £5 notes before these new plastic £5 notes become the only legal tender you can use. There was around 165 million paper £5 notes still in circulation at the beginning of the year, but the Bank of England are now telling retailers to stop handing them over as change. A spokesperson for the Bank of England said some retailers, banks and building societies may choose to accept paper £5 notes after the withdrawal date. However, this is at the discretion of the individual institution. Also, the new £1 coin will be introduced in the next couple of weeks, seeing the end of the round pound. The new coin will be gold and silver, it will have 12 edges and will feature a hologram where the £1 symbol changes to a number 1 when viewed from different angles. Shoppers can use both the old and the new coins from the 28th of March and have until the 15th of October to spend the old £1 coins or return them to the bank. Lauren Mulcahy, LSJ Today.
Sorry about that technical difficulty. And now for your sport.
Lincoln City will need to improve on a disappointing first leg defeat in the FA Trophy if they are to reach a Wembley final for the first time in their history. The Imps will need to overturn a 2-1 loss in the second leg on Saturday. We'll be hearing from manager Danny Cowley later, and you can find out his thoughts before the match on our website lsjnews.co.uk.
It's a training ground for some of the most famous drivers in the world. The likes of Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso started on karting tracks. It is a far cry from the multi-million lifestyle Formula One. Now on the verge of the new season, Daniel Kahn has been to find out more about how the very best learn their skills.
F1 drivers will be racing here in Melbourne next week. They all started somewhere like this. Many drivers like Lewis Hamilton or current champion Nico Rosberg started out their careers as kart drivers. Although the F1 starts next week in Melbourne, Australia, Many of the drivers started their careers as kart racers. I've come here to Gridline Racing in Lincoln to see if I have what it takes to be the next F1 superstar. My first challenge was to actually get into the kart, and then we were off, and it was clear I had the natural ability for motor racing. Until this happened, but it was nowhere near as bad as Fernando Alonso and Jonas Gutierrez's collision last year in Australia.
Let's have a look at it. Whoa. Oh goodness. It has rolled. Did get airborne.
But I was back up and running, and I could see why so many enjoy the sport.
It's one of the cheapest forms of motorsport you can take part in. It's one of the safest, accessible motorsports, and it's something that all ages can enjoy.
And if go-karting isn't for you, F1 fans will be watching the TV ahead of Melbourne next weekend. But there are a few rule changes. So what are the new changes in Formula 1? Well, the width of the cars has been increased, as well as the bodywork and tyres of the cars. And having these bigger cars, they're expected to be quicker as well, with the FIA estimating gains of 31% on last season. However, with these bigger and wider cars, this can make overtaking around the tracks even more difficult. So the question is, will we see more overtakes like this one? And with bigger, faster and wider cars, F1 fans will be looking forward to the beginning of the F1 season next weekend. Daniel Khan, LSJ Today, Lincoln.
Now, you may have noticed a rise in water sport action around Lincoln waterways this month. Due to the warming climate, the Lincoln Rowing Club will be increasing outdoor training as they prepare for the Bucks Regatta in April, following their success at the weekend. Jess Ward has more on the story.
These were just some of the applauds given to the University of Lincoln Rowing Club at the Lincoln Head race on Sunday. 3 members of the club achieved first place on the 3.5 kilometre course, which was held on River Whittam near Washington. Lincoln students Tom Westbrook and Josh Perigo qualified as winners with 13 minutes and 43 seconds. The club's vice president also won with a good time of 14 minutes and 58 seconds.
I was confident.
I don't know, we haven't been in the boat together since November, so we're unpracticed.
We crashed.
Twice,
Yeah. So it wasn't that clean.
Pulled it back.
Yeah, we must have pulled it back.
Yeah.
It felt good because I was knackered at the end. So.
Yeah.
Started off a bit close to the ones in front, just because how we were set off. But ultimately I had a good strong row, nice and long, put down a good time, which I was happy with. I think 3rd fastest sculler, so can't be too unimpressed with that.
The success at Lincoln Head has boosted the team's confidence for the upcoming Bucks Regatta, which is Europe's biggest rowing contest. This will take place in Nottingham on April 29th. With the weather conditions improving, it'll come as no surprise that you may spot them on Lincoln's waterways. I'm Jess Ward, LSJ Today, Lincoln.
Up life in 144 characters, it's said the art of letter writing is dying. To keep this skill alive, a team of writers has come to Lincoln asking people to pen letters. They will be used in a theatrical exhibition next month. Naomi Harvey has more.
What advice would you give to your future self? The Letters to Myself project in Lincoln is giving people the opportunity to write to their past, present and future self. Some of the letters will be featured in a show next month that will present the personal thoughts and findings in a theatrical style narrative.
But one thing we want to do is have a kind of segment of the show where local letters can be fed in. So I'm at the university today handing out free letter writing kits so that anybody that wants to can send a letter into the project, and it might be in the performance that's in Lincoln on the 7th. So.
Becky says that most people have chosen to write to their past self, but what have people been writing about?
I think most people tend to want to write to their past self. It seems a bit easier to kind of reflect on what we know rather than kind of looking forward and kind of guessing what the future might look like. But I had a lovely chat with a guy earlier who said he was kind of very self-critical, and he kind of got to a point in his life where he decided that needed to stop. So he was going to kind of write and encourage himself just to be a bit easier on himself, which I think we probably all need to do at times. So.
The letters submitted will be chosen in the upcoming few weeks, and the project will conclude with its show next month at the Lincoln Drill Hall. Naomi Harvey, LSJ Today, Lincoln.
And we've actually wrote some letters to ourselves. Now, I wrote one to my future self, so hopefully I'll be graduating this year. So I've just told myself that all this hard work at the moment will be worth it. What about you, Sam?
Well, not as serious from me, but mine would have won me a lot of money. I would tell my past self to chuck a bit of money on Leicester to win the league. Odds of 5,000 to 1. That's unbelievable stuff. I can't believe I didn't do it in the first place.
And now here's Natasha with your weather.
It will remain dry but cloudy for the rest of the afternoon, and then maybe some light showers this evening. Tonight, rain will clear, leaving a dry night, although it will become chilly with minimum temperature of 2 degrees. And tomorrow, we'll see a dry, bright morning with a slight chance of showers. Maximum temperatures will reach 11 degrees.
That's all from us, but before we go, let's have a quick reminder of our top stories from today.
The Electoral Commission has fined the Tories £70,000 after investigating a series of allegations during the last election.
Over £2,000 of damage has been caused to the International Bomber Command Centre.
And it's one of Lincoln's oldest shops and has been on the high street for more than a century, but Ruddock's is set to close.
And that's all for today. You can catch up with our news reports throughout the day.
And in the meantime, remember to follow us on our social media at LSJ Today Tweets, our Facebook page LSJ Today, and also find us on our website lsjnews.co.uk.
Goodbye.
Bye.